Republic 11/11 election day in Bayelsa, Imo and Kogi states. We are now live in Imo State, where one of the candidates is scheduled to vote. Femi Akande has just arrived at his polling unit in Imo, and we'll be hearing from him shortly as regards what he thinks of the process. We've heard from the Bayelsa State Governor himself, who had a seamless process when he was at this polling unit earlier, and he did mention that there's much improvement with INEC proceedings, and he seemed quite impressed with the personnel as well. We also heard from Murtala Jaka, who voted earlier in Kogi State. According to him, INEC's arrangement is perfect. Both men came up with their own concerns for the Bayelsa State Governor. He mentioned that certain issues have been reported in Nembe, where party agents were stopped from, accessing the polling units. And for Mr. Ajaka, he says he alleged that original result sheets are missing in Okene, and Adavi local government areas of the state. Our attention is turned to Imo State now, where Femi Akande is expected to cast his vote. He's right in front of the queue, and there's also a long queue of people behind him. We've been talking widely with some of our correspondents who are covering this election. The Beavers machine has worked very well in some areas, but there are also issues of recorded hitches with the machine in some polling units. We understand that both in Kogi and in Imo, it's been rectified in some of the polling units that we have heard from this morning. 5.1 million people collected their PVCs, and they will be deciding by the power of the ballot who the next governor will be in these states. You're watching our live coverage of the off-cycle governorship elections in Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa states, and we're monitoring events live from the field, right from the start to the finish. Joseph Eva is with us live in Lagos. We're also now joined in the Abuja studio by Stan Aleke, who is a legal practitioner. Gentlemen, thank you for staying the course on the program. But quickly, let's turn to Kogi State, where Femi Akande is standing by. Femi, where exactly are you, and what's the update?
Yes, hi, I'm at Agasa Ward here in Okene local government area of Kogi State. This is the polling unit where the governor, the incumbent governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, cast his ballot earlier, just a few minutes ago. We have seen a turnout of registered voters here at this particular polling unit. From what we have observed since the time we got here, everything appears smooth, especially with the PIVA, the Biomodal Voter Accreditation System. It appears to be working really smooth. Accreditation has been ongoing with voting all happening simultaneously. When the governor spoke to the press, he commended the whole process, commended the Electoral Commission, commended security agencies, and he was also asked about he was asked to respond to that general notion that elections in Kogi State are usually violent. He says that's a creation of the media. They are commended the security agencies for so far maintaining the peace in the state. And the presence of security agencies, he says, has also restored the confidence of the people, and that is what has spurred registered voters to turn out en masse to the polling units here to cast their vote. And that appears to be the same case at several other polling units that we have visited here in Okene local government. That is the central senatorial district of Kogi State. So far, so good, Nifemi.
Looks quite busy behind you in Ajasa. What's the experience of voters, especially when you consider the time it takes for each person to vote?
Well, from here, the time it takes for each person to vote is approximately 4 minutes after they are accredited by the Biomodal Voter Accreditation System, and then they are given their voting slip. Then they are also ushered to where they would thumbprint and then drop the ballot slip inside the ballot box. So it's been a very smooth process, seamless, no hassle for the voters. What might just be a concern for them is the turnout here. You know, they all have to line up under the sun, waiting to take their turns to cast their vote. So far, there's no provision for most of them to sit, but we have also noticed preference that's been given to the elderly and also voters with special needs. They have been given special preference. They have been allowed to come to the front of the queue, cast their votes in good time, and then make their way back home. But for others, they will have to stay the time here. First, when they get here, they will check on the voter register to be sure that this is where they have been accredited to cast their ballot before joining the queue and joining the queue, waiting for their turn with the electoral officer, who will then again cross-check on the document, do their biomodal voter accreditation, and then they'll be allowed to vote. So that's been the process so far, Femi.
The governor says violent elections in Kogi is a figment of the media's imagination. But speak to us about how the over 40,000 police personnel deployed there are faring. What has been their role of engagement with the voters? And speak to us also about the security presence at the polling unit where you are.
Yes, Femi, from what we have seen, especially from our trip from Lokoja down to Okene, well, the soldiers and the policemen we have met on the road have been quite civil and firm, I must say, because we have also seen them turned back other vehicles, motorists, or people who have no business plying the roads today. We have seen them mount roadblocks, carrying out stop and search, even for us journalists, despite our accreditation tag and our clear means of identification. We were still frisked, searched, our vehicles searched, and all of that before we were allowed to move further. But in their engagement, I must say that they have been very civil.
Kogi is bordered by close to 9 states. It's why they called it the confluence state. Police says that there will be a curfew between midnight and 6 p.m. We also saw pictures of a roadblock in Kaba earlier. What is the alternative routes for people who intend to, pass through Kogi today?
Well, Femi, the alternative route will be a very long route. Kogi seems to be the only transit point between the north and the south. We have seen a lot of travelers, a lot of motorists carrying different kinds of goods trapped in transit. All of them are parked on the roadside, waiting until vote ends, and the security operatives on the road will remove the barricade and allow a free flow of traffic again. But for now, they will have to wait, because the instruction was clear before now that the curfew restriction of movement will start at 12 midnight. Everyone was warned. Well, some of them tried to beat the deadline, but as it seems now, a lot of them are trapped on the road and will have to wait until voting ends before they can move again.
We're back with you shortly, Femi, when you have more updates for us from Kogi, where you are. Thank you for the good work you're doing. Let's get to our Lagos studio quickly, where Mr. Eva is standing by. Just before that, we are seeing live pictures from Imo, where we understand that one of the governorship candidates is about to cast his vote. We saw him on the queue earlier, and we're also looking forward to his address to the press after this process, particularly to have a feel of what the process is like, where he is casting his vote, and how he thinks INEC has fared thus far in this process. Joseph Eva joins us live from Lagos. You heard the development in Kogi, the state that connects the north to the south, and what seems an economic shutdown with what's happening on the roads. People cannot move. What's the implication of having us shut down the borders on election day?
For security reasons. A wise decision, and the Nigerian police, even INEC, talked about this blocking of the road ahead, even a week, months. And we all know it is part of the culture of Nigeria political process. There will be curfew in order to save life. All what we are doing If we are not doing anything to save life, what is the meaning of even the election itself? So we should bear with the government, we should bear with the system because of the experience of violence and kidnapping and running with ballot boxes and all these troubles. The government is doing everything to save life. And having said that, I was saying something, that Bayelsa people are not happy going into this election with 8 local governments. 8 local governments. It is an opportunity for us to tell the whole world what Nigeria is doing to us. We are going into this election with 8 local governments. We are the only people with 8 local governments. All other states have 20 local government, 25 local government, 18 local government. We have only 8 local government. I petition Oputa panel because according to Obasanjo, we constituted that Oputa panel was that Oputa panel will deal with all injustices right from 1966 to date. Now, when I put my own petitions, the SSS came and said that why should I be saying that Bayelsa should be given 50 local government? I said, why? We are demanding for 50 local government. They told me that the reason why Bayelsa was giving 8 local government is because of the landmass. I said, after you remove Jigawa from Kano, Kano is still having 44 local government. You are giving deserts local government, but our water mass is not important. I told Oputa panel, I said, we are not going to accept this. Our children will ask us. Even in the grave, they will ask us, we have only 8 local government. What is our crime in Nigeria? We are feeding the nation with our waters. Our water mass is not important. So it is land mass that is important. Water mass is not important. They vow that Oputa will not listen to my petition. If Oputa will not listen to Bayelsa petition, we are going to petition the United Nations. And our petition the United Nations. This is what Nigeria is doing. And when our gods are angry and stop crude oil pumping, Nigeria will be crying. Solve this problem for us. We are still appealing to the president and those who are involved in power. Bayelsa was giving 8 local government in the name of small land mass. Yes, we accepted that we have small land mass. We are proud that we are water people. We are proud that we are water people. Our water is feeding the nation. From our water, we feed the nation. Give us our local government. We need up to 50 local government by right because we are water people.
All right.
And again, we are feeding the nation.
All right.
After this election, we don't want
find
to
time
go
to talk about the local government issues
local government.
Subsequently, but I'd like us to stick with developments with the election, Mr. Eva. Let me hear from Mr. Aleke very shortly. When it comes to shutting down the roads, we understand that it is what happens during an election. But what's the legal implication when it comes to infringing on rights of free movement, and you consider the economic implication as well? How much money is lost during this period?
Well, in law, there's what we call doctrine of necessity.
Okay.
And by the implication of that doctrine, I think that doctrine was quite popular during the time Vice President Goodluck Jonathan was to take over from President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua. So because he traveled on medical leave and he did not transmit a letter officially appointing the Vice President to act in the capacity of the President before it comes back. So the National Assembly had to step in, quoting the doctrine of necessity, to say, okay, fine, since he did not transmit the letter, we have to, so that the presidential duty does not suffer. Now, that is another bit of doctrine of necessity. So when we talk about doctrine of necessity, it tampers down. It's more like doing something that necessarily illegal, but the occasion demands for it at that time. So in the election or during electoral processes or during electoral period.
Just a minute, Mr. Aleke. We understand that the candidate, one of the contenders in this election, has just cast his vote. Athan Achono will now address the press as we look forward to hear what he thinks of the process. We've heard earlier from the governor of Bayelsa State and another candidate in Kogi State who seem to have good things to say about the INEC and its preparation for this election. Well, Achono will now address the press as regards what is experienced thus far and what he feels about the process. It's important that INEC is seen to have improved because they say that's the essence of these off-cycle elections to improve on what has happened. For instance, an election is coming up now 8 months after the general election. Quite a number of issues have been raised with INEC's preparation, logistics, and the arrival of officials and materials on election day. Hopefully that has remarkably been improved.
How do you feel doing that?
I feel great. I have great hopes for our democracy. I believe that Mr. President intends to give us a free and fair election.
Okay, what is your opinion about the turnout? Because what's become manifest is that, what would you put it down to? Voter apathy? What's happened? Why do you think that not many people are out and about, trying to do the same thing?
No, a lot of people will come. Even my own family, my brothers are still coming.
All right. Do you feel safe? And of course, the voters. Do you think the voters feel safe to come out and vote? Because that could be the reason why.
Yeah, at first they were feeling threatened by the unusual, security movement, presence of armored personnel carriers and so on, moving everywhere. Number of soldiers. I've never seen such number of soldiers and policemen before in our vicinity. So, but we've tried to reassure them that they're here for their own protection. They're here to protect the process. So they'll be coming out.
So we've heard some report that there might be diversion of some electoral material in the way north. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, we've heard. We've also heard in Olo that they moved the Oso electoral materials. They moved it to a particular traditional ruler's house. We're still trying to verify those the information. And also, we hear that they are cluster voting. So these things, we need to verify them before we go public.
Well, what are your major concerns going forward?
Well, going forward, my major concern is that we still believe that their plan, like we've been shouting in the media all this while, there have so many thugs camped in so many hotels. We've alerted the security agencies. They have not taken any action, and we think that their plan is to hijack before the collation centers, and then try to insert all the results we are here that they have written.
Generally, what's your impression about the conduct of INEC and what's going on so far about the election?
Well, INEC, they are doing very well so far. You see, INEC will be planning their own. The bandits will be planning their own. So let's see how it works.
Do you have confidence in INEC? I mean, a lot of people have, vented their anger about the outcome of the presidential election and, of course, the governorship election. Do you have confidence in INEC? Do you think INEC could redeem itself with this?
I mean, I'm waiting to see. So I believe that is the right thing to do. If I was the INEC chairman, I would like to redeem myself with this election.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.